Why is the DA the only political party that is pursuing this matter? Why is the DA the only political party that is making noise about the fact that the Secretary of Parliament got a 70% increment 3 months in work? Why is the DA the only political party? Or are these people telling us that the DA is the only political party that is actually worried about what has been done about public money?
The 360 experience with Thomas M.
Man, finally, man, I'm happy to see that the DA is trying to clean house before we go to the elections. They are now talking again about that issue of the Secretary of Parliament, the man who got a salary increment of 70%. Guys, please let me know in your comment section if you know any single person who has ever gotten a 70% salary increment. I don't know of a single person who has actually gotten a 70% salary increment. And these people there in Parliament, they are busy playing with the numbers. Do you remember the story of the Secretary of Parliament, the man who was supposed to earn 2 million rands? And before we even know it, the man is earning almost 5 million rands in less than 6 months. Right now, the DA is talking about that story again, and they believe that the corrupt Speaker of Parliament, Mapisa-Nqakula, should be investigated. And this matter should be one of those issues that people are talking about. That, of course, we are talking about Mapisa-Nqakula and accepting the bribes. Can we also talk about Mapisa-Nqakula and approving the 70% increment of the Secretary of Parliament? And what is it, guys? Please tell me if I'm ignorant. Guys, please tell me, what is it do these people do to deserve such increments? What is it exactly do these people do? Because the Parliament came out and said that we are increasing this man's salary because we want his salary to match the high cost of living. They say nothing about the South Africans that are working hard each and every day, and these people, their salaries are not even matching the high cost of living. But them, there in Parliament, they are talking about each other and increasing each other's salaries by 70% so that they can match the high cost of living. So guys, please tell me, what is it exactly do these people do? If you are a Secretary of Parliament, what is it that you do that grants you to get a 70% increment? Guys, please tell me on the comment section.
The Democratic Alliance says an investigation into former Speaker Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula should continue despite her resignation. The party welcomed the recommendation made to the Powers and Privileges Committee that Mapisa-Nqakula has a prima facie case to answer for hiking the salary of Secretary to Parliament Olile George by nearly 70%. Now let's get more insights as we're joined by DA Chief Whip Siviwe Gwakube. Siviwe, thank you so much for joining us this Friday evening on News at Prime. As we said, you as the Democratic Alliance, you initially submitted these charges on the irregular hiking of the Secretary of Parliament. It was last year, way before we even knew that Mapisa-Nqakula would find herself in the hot water that she finds herself in right now. Take us through what happened after you raised those concerns and made submissions.
Good evening, Masa, and good evening to newsroom viewers. Just as a quick brief background into why we laid the complaint. We laid the complaint because the Speaker and the NCOP Chair, Mr. Masondo, the then Speaker, Ms. Mapisa-Nqakula, and Mr. Masondo, appeared to have approved a 70% salary hike for the Secretary to Parliament, Mr. Olile George, which meant that the hike was essentially from 2.4 million rand to almost 5 million rand. And this is despite the fact that they had presented to Parliament that the Secretary to Parliament would be earning no more than 2.6, as was advertised. And so our view was that, well, the Speaker at the time misled Parliament. And so I laid the complaint with the Powers and Privileges Committee to make the case that she has misled Parliament in terms of the National Assembly, and so did the NCOP Chair, Mr. Masondo. And so this matter has been ongoing for a while, and this week we received correspondence from the senior counsel that was essentially allocated to this case that we cooperated with. We gave our testimonies to, And the senior counsel found that the speaker has a case to answer for in terms of this matter. Now, this becomes important because in spite of the fact that the speaker, the then speaker has now resigned, Ms. Mapisa-Nqakula, even as an ordinary citizen of South Africa, remember the Powers and Privileges Committee is empowered by the Powers and Privileges and Immunities Act, which if one is in breach, it does not matter whether they still remain a member of parliament, but if they're in breach of that act, whether it is misleading parliament, whether it's just in contravention of the act and the provisions of the act, they can still be possibly criminally liable. And that is our view. Our view here is that, remember, whether the Ms. Mapisa-Nqakula is now no longer the speaker or no longer an MP, the reality is that there's still the issue of the fact that the Secretary to Parliament is earning almost double what the House had agreed to and what the House was told about.
And this is taxpayers' money, guys. You need to remember that this is taxpayers' money they are talking about.
And so that needs to be rectified. Or at the very least, we need to be alerted to how that decision was arrived to and what happens now. And so that's why we're not letting this matter go. And we're saying that the committee must still pursue the matter. The committee, unfortunately, this week had decided that it is not the appropriate forum and that it should go to another committee. That is besides the point. Our view is that we will take it to whatever committee needs to sit, because remember, Masa, that this money is not money that belongs to Parliament. It is public money, and therefore it needs to be accounted for.
So, guys, I know that this is a very important issue. I know that it is a very important issue, and I know that the DA is trying to get some sort of accountability, especially to that corrupt Speaker of Parliament, Mapisa-Nqakula. That woman needs to be held accountable for everything she has done. But as we approach the elections, is this an issue that can win the DA a lot of votes? Because right now we are going to the elections and political parties are doing everything in their power to make sure that they garner as many people as possible, to make sure that they convince as many people as possible to go and vote for them. You look at the DA and you look at this issue specifically. Is this issue an issue that can make a lot of people actually vote for the DA? Because, guys, you remember when Blade Nzimande was exposed, him and his board, his corrupt board at NSFAS, I remember John Steenhuisen going out and saying that tomorrow, or he said something like tomorrow, I'm paraphrasing here, tomorrow the DA will be out, we will be going to different high education institutions, and we are going there to remind the students of what Blade Nzimande and the board of NSFAS has did to them. And I remember coming to the platform and I said, guys, this is a very important move for the DA, because if you want young people to vote for you, you need to go where young people are actually heard. And right now, young people in this country, they are being hurt by NSFAS. The fact that they do not have accommodations, the fact that they cannot even access their allowances. Students right now, they are frustrated. And I don't think we have political parties that are actually taking advantage of the fact that millions and millions of students in the country right now, they are frustrated about what NSFAS is doing. As much as Blade Nzimande has came out and dissolved the board of NSFAS, the fact that he is Blade Nzimande is the person who brought those thugs in NSFAS to begin with. So him dissolving the board doesn't actually do nothing for NSFAS. It means that NSFAS is still corrupt because you still have Blade Nzimande. I actually thought that the DA would focus more on this issue of NSFAS and reminding South African students that, guys, this is what Blade Nzimande did to you. This is what Blade Nzimande did to you. Blade Nzimande is going to go out and dissolve the board of parliament and pretend like he's innocent. Blade Nzimande is the person that is supposed to go out. Blade Nzimande is the one that is supposed to be fired by Ramaphosa. So I thought that the DA would actually take advantage of this matter of NSFAS, as much as this matter of parliament is important. But I think when it comes to voting and when it comes to actually increasing your voter base and increasing many people to come and vote for you, you need to approach the issues that are going to make it easy for the people to go and vote for you. So I do not have any bad issues about the DA actually pursuing this matter. I think this matter is a very important matter, but at the same time, I think the DA also needs to realize that we are in election cycle, and right now people want the political parties to actually do the stories that are going to encourage them to go out and vote. Guys, I don't know, I may be wrong, I may be right. Please tell me what you think on the comment section.
So whether the punitive measures are now given to an ordinary citizen who is no longer the speaker, or the matter is now rectified where the salary is regularized, we now still need answers about how did these people arrive at the decision to hike a salary up by 70% just after three months after the Secretary to Parliament had started his job. It makes no sense. Nothing like this can ever happen in a private company. It's not performance related. Nothing like this makes sense unless we get the answers that we need. And so whether it's in this term or in the next term, the matter must still be deliberated on, and we must still have a finding.
It doesn't have to make sense. These are ANC comrades, man. This thing doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to make sense. These are ANC comrades. This is how these people actually operate. This is how these people operate, man. That's why every time, when I think about the fact that the ANC still enjoys a majority of the support in the country, man, I cannot help but this thing boggles my mind. The fact that ANC still enjoys a majority of support in the country, man. You can see even some of the opposition parties, they are starting to give up, man. They are starting to give up in terms of getting rid of the African National Congress. You see even political parties like the EFF, they are saying, man, we might as well propose our way to working with the African National Congress, because even the EFF can see that, man, South Africans are not going to stop voting for the ANC. South Africans are going to be angry at the ANC, yes, but South Africans will never stop voting for the African National Congress. It's almost as if this country has been cursed by these people. We are not going to stop voting for the African National Congress. These people, man, are destroying the country at every single turn. These people are doing whatever they can do to make sure that this country, it is not functional. But for some reason, the people of this country still love the ANC. For some reason, we still love the ANC. Just imagine, man, 70% increment, 70% increment. 70% increment, guys. In less than 4 months, less than 5 months. And this man is still earning this salary today. And the person who has actually approved his salary resigned from being the Speaker of Parliament.
Yeah, I'm sure, Sivio, most South Africans would jump at the opportunity of a 70% salary increase. But of course, it also wouldn't be taxpayers' money, right? But also, when we look at the precedent that this sets in a climate of corruption in a post-state capture era, where we are going to be still paying for the salary, which is almost double what it was supposed to be anyway, this matter will be moving from commission to commission. As you're saying, you will still be fighting this matter. But as you're fighting it, the money is still going to the Secretary of Parliament.
Yes, and that's why, Marcel, one of the things that we are going to be calling for in the next couple of days, I think in the next 2 days, is that if the Powers and Privileges Committee is refusing to pursue the matter, in spite of, remember, they are refusing to pursue the matter, in spite of the fact that they commissioned a legal opinion from senior counsel. The senior counsel came back and said, there is a case to be answered for here. There are irregularities here. And therefore, this needs a hearing. And so, of course, now the issue of the speaker resigning then became an issue. However, it still remains that there are people in the institution who are here. There is the NCOP chair, Mr. Masondo, who was part of the decision, and whoever becomes the successor of the speaker is going to need to be part of the solution in terms of the fact that we need to get answers and we need to regulate the matter. Because as you indicate, this is public money. We can't play fast and loose with public money, because of who occupies the position. Therefore, now it can essentially be, we can pull wool over the members of parliament. The Secretary of Parliament, and this is an important point.
And why is the DA the only political party that is actually fighting this matter? How many political parties do we have in parliament? And why is the DA the only political party that is fighting this matter? I mean, like, guys, this is the reason why I've said it like time and time again that we don't need some of these political parties in parliament. We don't need the political parties that we have in parliament. Why is the DA the only political party that is pursuing this matter? Why is the DA the only political party that is making noise about the fact that the Secretary of Parliament got a 70% increment 3 months in work? Why is the DA the only political party? Or are these people telling us that the DA is the only political party that is actually worried about what has been done about public money? Is the DA the only political party that actually cares about what happens with the taxpayers' money? Because right now you would think that all opposition parties, they would be out in full force. You would think that the political parties in parliament, all of them, they would be out in full force and saying, guys, we want this person to be held accountable. We want Mapisa-Nqakula to be held accountable. We want the Secretary of Parliament to actually explain how is it that he got 70% of salary increment, 3 months in work. You would think that all opposition parties would be up in arms, but the DA is the only political party that is fighting for this. The DA is the only political party that is fighting for this. To me, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Where are other political parties? Are these political parties okay with what the ANC is doing with the taxpayers? Are these people okay with the fact that Mapisa-Nqakula raised a man's salary by 70%? Are these people okay with that? Where is IFP? Where is Freedom Fund Plus? Where are all of these opposition parties, guys?
The appointment of the Secretary to Parliament comes to the House for a vote. When the Speaker brought the matter, she undertook that at the time, Ms. Mapisa-Nqakula indicated that it would be according to the advertisement. And the reason why this is important is because if you're going to pitch a job at a 4.6 million rand, then you are likely to attract other participants who would have been locked out of the opportunity if they were now misled. And so it suggests to us that there was already a predetermined a person that was identified for the job, and then it was almost premeditated that you will accept the job at this salary and we will hike it. And so we still need those answers. It doesn't matter that Parliament is wrapping up in a couple of weeks. The fact of the matter is this salary is still being paid. Therefore, we need to make sure that there is an investigation on how this decision was reached. The members of the public needs to be taken into confidence as to why it is that a salary, an advert can be put out that says, this is a job, these are the requirements, this is the salary, and then subsequent to that, you hike the salary. So that's why we can't let the matter go. The Speaker's resignation, Ms. Mapisa-Nqakula's resignation, is neither here nor there at this point. And importantly, the Act makes provision for criminally charging somebody who's in contravention of it, even when they are not a member of Parliament. And so her culpability is not something that we're going to let go of. But at the same time, the most crucial matter is we still need answers about the salary, and we still need it regulated. Our view is that you cannot hike a salary post a House resolution that has been adopted.
And again, how many months has this man been earning this 4.6 million by now? Because this issue of the Secretary of Parliament earning 70%, getting a 70% increment, this is a matter that was brought up a couple of months ago. So this man has been earning close to 5 million until now. In taxpayers' money, 5 million rands. Jeez.
And therefore, you need to reverse that and take it to the House afresh. And so, unfortunately, while the Secretary of Parliament has been in the job for over a year now, the reality is that we have been misled. And that needs to be investigated, and that needs to be rectified in accordance to what was said in Parliament.
Me personally, guys, I think that South Africa needs to be broken up, man. South Africa needs to be broken up. I'm saying this because it looks like in the country, man, there are people who will continue voting for the ANC no matter what. It looks like there are people who will do whatever in their power to make sure that the ANC comrades are still running the country. And it looks like a majority of the people in the country still want the ANC to continue running the country. Guys, let's break up South Africa, man. Let's break up South Africa. The people who want the ANC to continue running this country until everything, like, we must go on one side. The people who want change and the people who want to live in a prosperous country, they must go on one side. I think this is the only way we can actually solve what is happening in South Africa. Because right now, the choices of the majority are dragging all of us down with them. The majority of the people in this country, man, the choices that they are making are dragging us, all of us, and they're dragging all of us down with them. Let us break this country apart. 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 The people who want to live in a prosperous country, they must go on one side. They must go on one side. The people who want to live under the ANC forever, the people who love the victim mentality, the people who love to be reminded each and every day that they are victims, they must live on one side. And the people who are sick and tired of being told that they are victims, the people who actually want their lives to prosper, they must go on one side. This is how the country needs to be run. This is how the country needs to be done, because at this point, man, I have given up on the people of this country. I have given up on the people of this country, man. I will continue talking about the people of this country because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, man, what is it do the political parties need to say anymore? If you are a DA member, what is it that you need to say to South Africans anymore to convince them that this ANC is destroying their lives? What is it that you need to say anymore? There's nothing that you need to say anymore. Nothing that you need to say anymore. I think everyone in the country has said everything they need to say. We have said everything that they need to say. The DA, everyone have said everything that they need to say. Let's come into actions, man. Let's come into actions, man. I'm not even surprised that other people were proposing keep independence, man. People are sick and tired. People are sick and tired of this majority rules nonsense. This majority rules is a nonsense, guys. I don't want to lie. It's nonsense. It's nonsense because if majority rules was not this nonsense that it is today, we would not accept this kind of nonsense that we are seeing on the screen. South Africans will not accept the Secretary of Parliament earning close to 5 million rands. South Africans will not accept that.
You speak of criminal charges as well, Siviwe. What are you going to do about this matter that you're fighting? I mean, the DA has indicated that you are exploring your options. What can and will be done about this?
So, there are a number of options that are available. So there's a separate process in which we can pursue criminal charges against the former speaker, Ms. Mapisa-Nqakula, and that's a separate matter. But the more important matter that I think is of concern to not only the DA, but also to the people of South Africa is, what are you going to do about making sure that the salary that is being paid to the Secretary of Parliament is something that is agreed to?
And what are you going to do about the money that he has got already? Are you going to force him to pay back the money that he got by corruption? Because this money, he's getting it by corruption. Are you going to force the Secretary of Parliament to pay back the money that he got by corruption?
And is essentially in line with what was advertised. And so that's the pursuance that we are now here, that we are pursuing. And that is something that can be dealt with in the Financial Management of Parliament Committee, which we will be raising with. But also we are exploring, requesting the Deputy Speaker, who's now the acting Speaker, Masa, to say, look, you must initiate an investigation. Parliament is still very much valid until the 21st of May. Therefore, there's time to be able to investigate the matter. We've got a legal opinion already that says that this is irregular. And so we don't have the luxury of simply ignoring legal counsel that was contracted by Parliament, that was paid for by Parliament. And they came up with a resolution, they came up with a judgment, they came up with an opinion that says this is irregular. So Parliament now has an obligation to essentially regularize what has been irregular. And our view is that this matter, this whole contract now needs to be reviewed. What was agreed to? Who agreed to it? Why did they agree to it? Why were we as members of parliament told that the STP would be earning 2.6 million rand when clearly the executive authority, which is Mr. Masondo and Ms. Mapisa-Nqakula, knew that they would hike up the salary? So we are pursuing two concurrent actions, and the one is exploring what criminal charges can be brought in terms of the powers and privilege in the Immunities Act, but also we're pursuing this from a parliamentary angle to say, well, the Financial Management of Parliament Committee is empowered to review this entire contract, and therefore they must do so, because we must be able to assure South Africans that when Parliament advertises jobs, that it is transparent, that it is fair, and that it will attract anyone who's got the requisite skills. It's not good enough to essentially advertise something that is not going to be what it will be. And the fact that the salary was hiked 3 months after his appointment and then backdated to when he started is very, very, very suspect. And so we can't let the matter go, because the Secretary of Parliament is still in his job and he's still earning the salary, and therefore we must make sure that the matter is investigated and rectified where it is possible.
Ay, Mapisa-Nqakula. Mapisa-Nqakula, man. Mapisa-Nqakula. Mapisa-Nqakula needs to go to jail, man. Mapisa-Nqakula needs to go to jail. I'm just wondering, what are they going to do with the money that the Secretary of Parliament has already gotten? Because he was not supposed to get that money to start with. So they need to force him to pay back that money. Guys, please tell me what you think about the story. Please tell me what you think on the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button. And the most important part, subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
The 360 experience with Thomas M.